So, okay, well, I have no doubt in my mind that this is going to suck. This is just not going to be fun. It's probably not even 5 degrees Celsius today. At least it isn't raining, at least it isn't foggy, at least it isn't windy. But there's something going on in this colony. I don't know what it is, but I can tell something's wrong. And I think leaving them in this hive right now, I think there's either a lot of moisture or there's a mouse in there or something's going on, but they're not doing what they should be doing. I don't think the queen is laying eggs. The brood, the workers aren't eating protein. They're not doing what they need to be doing, and something's wrong. And maybe the queen is dead or stressed or something. I suspect it's the queen. I think something happened to the queen, but I don't know. But my guess is there's a queen issue here. Something happened to the queen. I just don't know. But they're way, like this colony is just busting loose with bees. I'm really concerned that they're actually building up too quickly, that they're not going to have enough food before any natural nectar comes in. So they're okay. I've got an open feeder for them over here. This is a bucket full of thin syrup spiked with anise. And there it is. And it's too cold for them to fly today, but tomorrow and the next day and the next couple days it might be warm enough for them to forage, and that should be enough just to keep them going. And there are no other beekeepers in this area, so I know I'm not feeding anyone's bees. So that's good enough for now. And so they're okay. They'll get some food into them. They're not going to starve anytime soon, I don't think. I think they've got lots of honey anyway. And this hive is packed with honey. But the colony, it wasn't a strong colony going into winter. I had to replace their old queen late last summer. I think it was last August, and it wasn't a strong colony. Like, it wasn't a strong, huge cluster going into the winter. So I saw a lot of dead bees, more dead bees coming at the bottom of this hive than I did even out of the hive that had tons of bees in it. Something's up, and I don't know if it's been that way. It's just because they were a small cluster in a big hive, or what was going on. I can't say without tearing into the hive, and that's what I'm doing today. So they're not going to be happy. I know they're not going to be happy, but this is my tentative plan. I'm not going to mess around with them too much. I want to just get in there, find the bees, find the frames with the bees on them, and put them in this hive. This is a 8-frame double deep or double stack nuke box, so it's basically 8 frames. It's going to really reduce them down to hardly anything, but I don't think there's more than, if there's any brood in there, I don't think there's more than 4 frames total. So those will go on the bottom. And then I know they have lots of honey. The last time I checked, they've had tons of honey, and capped honey too. So I will put the capped honey on top of them, on top of the bees down at the bottom, and hopefully this won't be a complete disaster. But I'm doing this. I normally wouldn't do this, but I know there's something wrong, and I know this queen, she was on fire last summer, and I just don't want to lose those genetics. She seems really great. She seems just a really good queen. And so here we go. We'll see what happens. So I just took the wrap off this hive. Look at all these snails. I mean, there's snails. This is an area that just seems to be overrun with snails everywhere. And I'm sure I'm going to find snails inside the hive too. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is just trash, man. Yeah, this sucks. Something's going on. I got tons of honey over here. Bees under here under a giant fake protein patty. They're not even touching the protein patty. Oh, they're pissed, as they would be, as I expected. Yeah, they haven't touched that protein patty. That fake protein patty. I hate doing this. I hate working with bees that I know are going to attack me. And when it's cold, definitely stinging. That sucks. I think they're queenless. And when it's cold, they're usually pretty pissed off too. They're just not, these bees are on the attack. I can see the, and the other thing is, when you open a hive for the first time in the winter, everything is stuck together. So it's, yeah, they're trying to, a lot of defensive bees here. If I can just get this one frame out, I can, okay, here we go. Yeah, see? They have plenty of honey. This is no fun at all. I got a bunch of bees coming at me, and they want to sting me. Like a lot, there's just too many. I can just see them looking at me. I'm gonna get stung. I know I'm gonna get stung. All right, it's a frame of honey, but lots of bees on it, so I'll just put it in the hive. Yep, I'm stung. That didn't take long. I think they're queenless. Yeah, I think they're queenless. I see no brood. Ow. Nope, no brood. Nope, no queen. Yeah, I think they're queenless. That'll do it. Okay, I see some drone brood. I got bees crawling down my neck because my veil doesn't have the greatest seal. Yeah, I see drone brood. I think they're queenless. Oh, yeah. Oh no, there she is. Okay, we got a queen. There's the queen. I'll just have to crop it in. But there she is. Right dead in the center of that frame. So she ain't dead. But all I see is drone brood right now. So that's, you know, not great. There should be fresh brood in this, like cap brood, and there's none. Oh man, I can smell the alarm pheromone now. So, okay, this is it. This is an empty frame. No fresh brood, no cap brood. So, yeah, she's not laying. Now, I could say, yeah, I got a dud queen who was on fire last summer. And now she just gave up the ghost and she's alive, but she's not laying anymore. And that happens. You get a nice, young, robust, freshly mated queen who's laying up a storm. But for some reason, you just can't tell how much sperm she has in her. And she may have run out of sperm. Her spermathepia, whatever that thing is called, could be empty already. So, I got a queen, but that's it. That's four medium boxes, four medium frames, and that's all there is. That's basically all the bees in the hive. There's a few stragglers right here, right there, but there's nothing going on there. So I'm just going to take these frames of solid honey. This is solid honey with a bit of open. Oh frig! Look at that. Of course, I got a frame that doesn't fit. Some of these frames are slightly. This is a perfect example of homemade frames. It's a homemade. Oh, this one's got too much mold on it. But you get some people make their own frames, and I have a few of those, and they're not. This one is like a millimeter too long, and it doesn't fit inside in the box, or the box is a millimeter too small, which is probably the case. Let's see what's going on inside this hive. So look, I'm just looking into the bottom box right now. There's two. No, actually, this is the middle box. Yes, there's honey there. Not a lot. A little bit. There's honey. No, no. Wow. Lots of mold down there too. They've got honey down below. They're not even, there's no shortage of honey here, so of course if this frame doesn't fit. You got a little bit of poop right here. But I don't think that's anything. It's really nothing. So I'm gonna give them that frame because it's got a little bit of open cells, some open cells on it. Ah, damn it. Of course the frame doesn't fit. That's the thing with these homemade boxes from other people. They're always like half the time they're just like a millimeter too short, just like that one. Right? You're in the middle of doing something like this and the damn frames don't fit. Okay, one more frame. Get one more frame to fit, we're doing great. That'd be fantastic. This is a good frame. This is the biggest pain. You get homemade gear, and I like having homemade gear because I get it for cheap. But man, not when the box is like just a millimeter or two too short to fit the frames in. So you got to either open the box or trim the end of the frame, and that's what I'm doing right now. Hopefully I can get this thing trimmed with my pocket knife. But you can't be doing this in the middle of when you're beekeeping. It's a pain. So there we go. This is not great at all. They've got plenty of honey. They're not eating any of their the pollen that I gave them, and that's that. See, here's the giant pollen patty I gave them, and this is a little bit that got eaten here, but that's it. The rest of it wasn't touched. Now it's not a real pollen, so it's not, maybe not that attractive. So that queen, she's a brand new queen last year. I got her from a reliable beekeeper, and he showed me the queen, and they showed me she showed me what she was doing, and she looked great all last summer, but she's not laying eggs. So I don't know if I put her in this hive last summer, and if she just stopped laying right away, or what's going on. But she's in there. They didn't kill her. She looked fine to me. She looked fat and juicy and long. But she's not laying eggs. There's no brood in there. No new brood. They're down to 4 frames. I don't know what that means. It's totally possible that it's got nothing to do with the queen. There might be something inside this hive. There could be nosema, and nosema makes them sick and throws the queen off completely. And if you look at this, you can see, obviously you had a moisture issue. Look at that. Right, look down there. Oh, we totally had a moisture issue. Look at that. What a mess. Then we got slugs. So that alone could have been the issue. If that had been there, and maybe it was, since last summer, and I just didn't notice it, and then you go. You've basically got a big petri dish of mold. I mean, it's heavy. The box is still heavy with honey. That might have been it. There's somewhere in here, water got in, or something got in. Yeah, see? There was something wrong. Yeah, see, these are all full of, no, that's just like a big moldy situation. What else we got in here? We got some slugs, or snails. Not necessarily the queen's fault. She just may have been in a sick hive. hopefully they'll like their new nice warm cozy nuke. I can only just hope for the best. I hope she comes back to life. If not, I'll just keep them going until it's warm enough to combine the rest of those bees with another colony. And no brood, no sign that the queen is laying at all. There were some drones, but that's nothing. That just happened by either the queen is a drone layer now, or we got a laying worker in there. So they're behaving exactly like I thought. They're behaving like a colony that doesn't have a queen. So hopefully they'll like their new house. It's nice and clean. I cleaned it up. It's warm. There's no mold getting in there. And somewhere in here, maybe it was the bottom of this bottom board. Maybe there was a crack in here. But somehow a lot of moisture got inside that hive. And it's probably been there all winter at least. And they've just been in a moldy, unhealthy hive. The only other thing about this is that I used what they call the condensing hive methods for this hive this winter, which means it didn't have a top entrance. But had it had a top entrance, I'm sure most of that mold, that excess moisture that possibly knocked them back and possibly destroyed them, most of that would have evaporated out of the hive, or much more of it would have evaporated out of the hive through ventilation, upper ventilation. And it didn't. It just stayed in there and just... So I think that's what happened. I can see that those bottom boxes, they didn't have as much honey as I thought they would. They're still pretty heavy. They're nowhere close to starving. But anyway, it's something to think about. Like, you see something like this and it sort of sucks, but there's always something to learn from this. When I'm in the middle of it all like this, I don't really have the most analytical mind, but I think that's why I record everything. And I'll look back on this and I'll figure this out. There's got to be something went wrong. I did something wrong. Maybe that condensing hive thing didn't work. I don't know. Maybe the queen was a dud. Maybe she just lost her mojo. I really don't know. But I've done everything that I can. They have plenty of honey. They don't have any pollen, but they're not taking in pollen or protein now anyway. Like I gave it to them and they weren't taking it, so something's up. And hopefully they'll just enjoy this nice dry hive. This happens too. Sometimes you have queens that they lay well all summer long, and then come winter they just completely shut down and they don't. All right, my other camera just died. So sometimes a queen will look fantastic in the summer, but come winter she'll shut down completely, and come early spring she won't do a thing until natural resources and natural pollen come in, and then she'll start laying up a storm. But that's pretty small, man. If that's what's the case. I mean, that's not a lot of bees in there right now. So like, even if she started laying now, so it's like first week of May, even if she started laying at like just going gangbusters right now, a month from now they still wouldn't be very strong. It might fill those 8 frames, maybe. Probably not. So it's, but you never know. Like some queens, they really go nuts once they start laying eggs. So hopefully that's what's happening. But I got a feeling that's not going to happen. But we'll see. So anyway, again, nothing I can do until I just can't do anything anymore. I'll just have to leave them alone. They've got food. They're not going to starve. There's nothing else I can do. We'll get some weather where they can fly, but right now there's no foraging weather at all in the forecast. Like a couple days next week, but then it's cold again. So it's just brutal. If it was warm enough for them to forage and bring in natural resources, they might be fine. Anyway, I'm going to clean up this mess and call it a day. And this colony over here, I'll just take a quick look just to show the difference. This is going to be a really quick shot. There they are. See that? Boom. Whole bunch of bees in there. And they're just on fire. Now they're starting to cling to the inner cover. I don't like that. Kind of makes me think that they're running a little low on food. I have a theory that they cling to the inner cover when there's ventilation up top, and if they're running low on food and they got nowhere else to go. So I kind of get the feeling that they're starting. I mean, there's a lot of bees in there, but I kind of get the feeling they're just starting to get a little hungry. So I've got syrup out for them, so they should be okay. And that newspaper is actually a weird thing that I did the other day. It's crystallized honey in the shape of a patty, just to give them a little extra something. Anyway, so weird situations. So all that junk, this completely dismantled hive, and all those wet frames and all that other stuff, I got in the back of my car and lugging it and putting it in there, and I'm going to have to take it home and lug it out and store it, and later on I'm going to have to clean up all those frames and those boxes and everything else. And it's this aspect of beekeeping that it really doesn't seem to be on the radar of a lot of beekeepers who first get into it. You know, you're so enamored by the bees, but you don't really understand what you're getting into, that you're sweating and you're lugging heavy stuff and you're doing things, you know, there's a lot of manual menial labor involved, and it just doesn't really seem to compute with the ivy tower demographic. You know, like we're all in an ivy tower when we start off with our beekeeping. We just think it's all, you know, sunshine and lollipops, and we're all just zenning out with the bees and nature and all that stuff. But you know, there's a lot of sweat and there's a lot of dirt and there's a lot of heavy lifting, and this doesn't register with a lot of people. I've seen that firsthand. Like, I know everybody initially approaches beekeeping with a totally romantic, idealized notion of everything, but I wish the realistic aspects and the practical aspects of beekeeping were better promoted and spoken about in an honest way, because so much beekeeping and so much disasters in beekeeping arise from people getting into it not knowing what they're getting into, or they get into it and they realize they don't want to be into it. They don't want to be hefting heavy boxes and sweating and all that. And if that's not a part of your makeup, then you might want to rethink what you're doing, because there are going to be times, unless you have one hive, maybe two hives that you can easily attend to, maybe you can get away with not a lot of, you know, lifting and sweating and getting dirty. But for the most part, I think once you're over 3 or 4 hives, and especially if you're in another location that isn't right next to your house, you're going to have to, you know, huff it and puff it and really put a lot of heavy, grueling, dirty manual work into the beekeeping. I wish more people understood that, because that's definitely a part of it once you get to a certain level. You know, some people just don't want to hear it, and they don't. And then it just becomes a frustrating disaster. In any case, I wish I had a helper. I would, if I had just one other person to help me with just anything, it would be, my beekeeping would be 10 times easier than it is right now, because I come out here to another location. It's not next to my house, so I have to take everything with me. Sometimes I forget to take things. While I was digging into the hive, someone else could be setting up the feeder. And while I was digging into the hive and examining the queen, someone else could be examining the frames, cleaning them up. And at the end of it all, I'd have another set of hands to help me put all this junk in the back of my car. So there's another aspect of it too. If you're a solo beekeeper, everything I said about all this manual stuff is even more so. Well, let's get the word out that beekeeping isn't just sunshine and lollipops and, you know, hanging out with the Dalai Lama. It's a lot of grunt work. Alright, so here we are the next day, and they're coming and going, they're bringing in pollen. So maybe that pollen is enough protein for them to make some royal jelly and for that queen to start laying some eggs. I meant to have this bottom entrance open and this one plugged, but I screwed it up, and now they're working that one, so I'll just leave it alone. But yeah, today's the first day that I have seen any kind of yellow flowers in bloom, so it's natural resources coming in. Hopefully that's the trigger to get that queen going crazy, laying eggs.